Everyone. This is our June developers call. Due both to time limitations and the fact that we don't actually have that many items to talk about, this will probably be a short call. If anyone is listening in, wants to join the call, we have plenty of empty seats. Just ping me in IRC. If you are in IRC, the link is already posted there. It's both for listening in as well as joining the call. So Tom put up a little agenda, which is...
Oh, sorry, Martin, have we started chatbot?
So chatbot isn't actually running.
Okay. So can we have somebody maybe take some notes anyways in the chat room?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. All right, well, we'll see if Philip can get the bot going, but otherwise let's go ahead and just get started. We'll just take notes anyway.
Yeah, so our agenda is pretty short, so we'll very, very, very briefly talk about conferences that happened. Tom will talk about Android support, then we'll have our working group recaps, and actually I think I'm just going to start this off with promoting the GNU Radio conference. That's always a good thing to have. So we have our annual GNU Radio conference this year in August. Yeah, so the agenda is actually already posted on Tom's website, and maybe someone can post a link to that.
Yeah, just put it on there.
So the call for participation is already long over, but we have plenty of seats for people to come and join us, meet GNU Radio developers, talk about software-defined radio and free software. Yeah, it's in the end of August in Washington, D.C. I don't know. Tom, do you have anything to add, or does anyone else?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about this for like every call, so I think people know basically what it is. Mostly, I just wanted to promote the fact that we now have the preliminary agenda available on the website, and I just posted the link in the notes. So if you go to the webpage, you can click down on the agenda. So it's full week as usual, or like what we did last year. Friday's going to end with the Hackfest. Monday's going to begin with a new user / intro day, so you get to hear about all sorts of cool stuff going on there. But then just take a look at like the Tuesday through Thursday. I think we've got this really great lineup coming up here. So essentially each day is effectively sponsored by one of our platinum sponsors. So this is a way to kind of highlight them throughout the week. So they'll get kind of their speaking slot for that. But we've kind of structured it in a way that we're trying to get Tuesday to have intro material type tutorials, and then a little bit of like more of the intro style apps to new projects. Wednesday is more focused on the research that's going on with GNU Radio, so a lot of the new and cool research stuff that's happening. So that's going to be a lot of the people working on GNU Radio more outside of the core developers, so people working directly on GNU Radio, but people doing really cool stuff with it. And then Thursday we're doing more advanced type stuff. So the tutorials and the apps and research portion of Thursday are going to be kind of more in the advanced of things that we're working on or capable of doing in there. The other thing that I wanted to point out for people, I think this was we talked about this after the last GRCon, the fact that the working groups essentially took up the entire afternoon for like and the entire presentation slot for the afternoon at the conference. It seemed to work really well in Boston. Didn't seem to work well last time, so we're doing that as a second track now. Those are really focused groups on dedicated parts of projects. So we'll make more about that when you get to the conference. But we're really focused on getting the information to people. But then the actual working groups themselves, we're going to meet to have our to meet and to make sure that we've got the all the information we need and all the discussions we need to happen there. But that's going to be a separate track thing. yeah, so I think we're trying to grow from last year. We're trying to learn from some of the things from the past few years, and hopefully settle kind of on a format. And I'm pretty excited about this style of format and how we structure the material from a tutorial and a research perspective. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say. But now that the agenda is out there, please feel free to share and query and promote and anything you can do to get the word out there. So yeah, so that's the monthly update I think on GRCon. Let's see. All right. Well, since I'm talking and I'm kind of the next couple of slots anyways, I'll just keep going. So I just put up as far as the agenda here. There's not a whole lot to say, but I was at a lot of events for the past couple of months. I think I already talked about ISAR in the last call, but like we had the new SDR, which is the New England Workshop on Software-Defined Radio, hosted at Worcester Polytechnic. Thanks to Alex Wiglinski and Neil Pindayo, who is from Edis, who was hugely instrumental in getting these things together. Really fun. And this time, though, they got me down there the day before. So it's a one-day workshop on Friday. Thursday night, we had a 5-hour called a GNU Radio hacking workshop. So it was Neil and myself giving an intro to GNU Radio to people there, and Neil and thanks to Edis brought a whole bunch of B200s and live USB sticks so that people could come and actually work on, hack on GNU Radio stuff. So we kind of walked everybody through building, simple flow graphs up to actually receiving information signals from the USERP and demodulating FM. We didn't quite get far enough where individuals were able to demodulate the RDS signal, but Neil showed off that capability using Bastion's GRRDS project. But that was really fun. That was really cool. It was, I think it was a lot more popular than we expected it to be. So I think it was somewhere around 20-some people came to this, evening workshop out in Worcester, Mass. So really excited to see everybody there that came and participated and hopefully learned some good stuff there. So it sounds like we might try to do this again next year. So some pretty good turnout and pretty good results from that. Wireless at VT, I just wanted to quickly promote our work there. So Philip Ballister and I put together a tutorial session, and I'm going to just stick it in the tutorials. So there's a link to a blog post that I wrote kind of reviewing what we did at the kind of SDR and free and open source software at the Wireless at VT Symposium. So we had 5 people, and once again, thanks so much to Ben Hilburn for putting together a great presentation and us not giving him enough time to actually give it. But it was still this, I thought it went really well. Some really good information, I think, in these slides, this presentation. So just take a look at that link and see some of the other work that we're doing at these different conferences. That's all I wanted to say about that. And then there'll be more stuff coming up in the next few months where GNU Radio stuff is happening. Okay, so that wraps up that. Are there any thoughts or questions or any interjections at this point? Okay, so then I guess I will keep going. And then we'll get into the working group. So the last thing that I wanted to promote, because this is really, this has been my main focus for the past few months, has been our Android support on GNU Radio. I've mentioned it before. It's kind of been leaking out here and there. I talk about it, whenever I can. I did bring my, I have a Nexus 7 tablet and a B200 that I can plug into the tablet and then run flow graphs. So I had a couple of those at the Wireless at VT Symposium, and it gets, so it's really cool. It's a neat environment to be able to do signal processing, but it is a pretty tricky one to get set up. So what I've done is, if you can, again, I'll post this link real fast to promote it again. The wiki page on GNURadio.org gives you a walkthrough for essentially how to get started from start to finish of building a GNU Radio-based application for Android. So there's a setup of the dependencies, there's building of the GNU Radio itself, how you actually get the front-end support, so you can use RTL SDRs or EDIS USB-based devices. I've only tested with the B200 or B210, but we could probably extend it to support others in the future as well. So you get information for how to set those up, and then there's a walkthrough that I created for building just a basic application, and it does nothing. It just sets up a null source and a null sink and a throttle. But the intent of this is that it's a template, this GR template Java application that is now up on GitHub. You can just download that and run it through Android Studio. It's all based on Android Studio, so it's kind of the new model for doing all Android work. So I'm trying to make this as familiar as possible to Android developers. So this is just the way to help people get up to speed and get an application running quickly, because there's a lot of setup, there's a lot of configuration to get the NDK to work with the SDK, all this stuff going on here. So this is just me trying to help people get over that initial hump so that we can go into doing the cool signal processing applications and the Android user app space development itself. So hopefully that is useful to a huge number of people who are interested in this. And my plan is that the next walkthrough that I'm going to do is how do you actually get talking to an RTL SDR. Because again, there's some boilerplate stuff that has to happen that's kind of annoying to set up initially. So I want to expose that and make sure everybody has the way to get signals into their system pretty easily. So again, I'm really hoping that people can take this and start making use of it and start building cool applications, because that's really what this is for, is to allow people to start building really cool stuff on Android. It is a really nice form factor to have your radio and a tablet that you can just walk around with. I haven't tested this on the phone yet, but my tablet, the battery life is actually, I think it's performing better than I had expected. It doesn't just drain the battery immediately. We'll see what happens on a smaller phone, but you should be able to get quite a bit of life out of it in the end. So there should be some really fun capabilities that we can get with this type of a system. And so that's my promotion of the Android space, and I'm going to pass this back over to Martin so you can start talking about the working groups, and people can stop listening to me for a little bit.
Okay, so for the working groups, we've been trying to get together, get some ideas out there what we want to do. There'll be more information on this. So as working groups, we've been trying to think about how to improve our own workflow, etc. And we'll be talking about this at the GNU Radio conference. So for this call, I actually just want to do a regular update on what the working groups have been up to. And I'm just going to start myself. So for the community and user experience thing, currently no news. Basically same state as last month. Some slow work on PyBombs. Cgrind is up and running, and there's currently no new task forces coming out of this, at least at this very moment. Okay, I'm just going to ask you to say something as you're on my screen. So the leftmost on my screen is Doug. So do you have any updates?
So not a whole lot to report. It's been fairly quiet. The only thing I've been doing recently is trying to plot out what I would like to do for GRCon. So yeah, not a whole lot of activity recently.
Do you want to give us a sneak peek for your GR?
I don't think I have enough of a picture formed in my head. I've started plotting out the types of things I want to talk about and what I would like to get people engaged in. But yeah, I don't. Other than the general idea that lots of people are interested in this work, and there are a couple of tough problems we need to solve, and we need to try and encourage people to work on some of them. I don't have a good picture yet.
Okay. Nathan, any news on the Volk side?
No real news. Not much has changed in the past month, so I think, and there hasn't been any contributions in the past month, so I think it's probably time for a maintenance release.
Tom, were you adding something there? You just popped up. Was that just noise?
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I was flicking my microphone to mute, and I think I did it the wrong way.
No. So Nathan, is there a call coming up or something like that?
No. I guess I don't have anything planned.
Okay. Overall, quiet month then. Phil, any updates? I don't know if you're talking, Phil, but I can't hear you. Maybe your mic is off or something.
So while he's figuring, okay, his mic is messed up. I did want to thank him though for posting that email to the mailing list, kind of trying to jumpstart some more activity in the embedded space. So that was good, and I think that reminded people of some of the stuff, and there were some some back and forth on that. So I think that was good. That's kind of what we want to. That's the type of stuff that we want to see from the working groups is to kind of keep in the community, on top of the community, to make sure people are aware of what's going on and how to get involved, and in what spots we're looking for involvement. There's tons to do in all of this stuff, so we want to make sure that people understand kind of the priorities that the working groups have. So I thought that was a really good way to start that.
So for those who didn't read that email, I think one of the biggest takeaways was that we're kind of getting the GNU Radio support out there on devices, but what we lack is just people showing off cool stuff using GNU Radio. So we have some people that do cool stuff and they build their own custom optimized apps, but actually using GNU Radio in the embedded world and then showing it off, that hasn't happened as much as we would like that. So if anyone wants to add more Android apps, coming back to what Tom said earlier, or I don't know, working on the E310. Phil says test apps. Really anything that does cool stuff on an embedded device.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I think one of the things that Philip is talking about is that there's a ton of apps that have been built from a desktop perspective. So all of these out-of-tree projects that are in CGRAN, it'd be great to get those, to test them to see if they're going to work, or what needs to happen to get them to work on the embedded side. And then his other comment here is convert WX to Qt. So the embedded stuff visually supports the Qt model, does not support WX. So if it's a visualization-based app, we're going to need to convert that stuff to Qt.
So I'll actually have a Qt version of UHD FFT out there very soon, probably maybe by the end of the week. Definitely by the end of next week. So I think that's the most popular graphical app that we have, at least in the UHD land. Okay, so Sebastian isn't on the call. I know that there's been some interesting features being worked on between him and Seth on GRC, but I think working group-wise, it's been pretty quiet on his end. And I think the GUI end, more than anything else, suffers from, everyone wants to have it, nobody wants to change things. And most of this is really easy, so you really don't need any massive experience. You can just go ahead and change stuff, especially if it's, upgrading Qt GUI widgets, for example. Qt is a bit of a learning curve, but we have so many things out there already that you can have a look at them and modify them. So if there's anything that we can do to improve user experience, then, and I'm speaking to everyone here, and it annoys you the way it is now, then it probably annoys a lot of other people, but it's probably not that hard to change. And we really need that feedback from the community, and especially code contributions for that. Okay, so I don't know about Tim's plans. I think he was also working on an update for GRCon.
Yeah, and I think his plan is to have a call sometime in the next month or so. He had mentioned that. So he's starting to get into the mode of kicking this off. This has been kind of a nascent working group up to this point, but I think he's starting to come to develop some plans for what we want to do and how to kick it off.
Okay. Cool. So that's that.
Yeah, I think so. Anybody else have anything to talk about or add?
Okay, that'll be a very short call indeed.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see everyone next month, and then of course at GRCon in DC.
Yeah. So one thing that I'll point out, since we got enough time, is I did add these monthly calls to the GR calendar, Google Calendar. So every month now they are up there. The August call comes the week before GRCon, and right now I'm going to keep that because that might be a good quick thing to do, just to kind of get everybody in place for GRCon. But that might be more of the core team and the working group leaders getting together to make sure that we're all on track for what we want to do the next week. That may change, but right now we still have a call in August before the conference.
Yeah, we've usually dropped the call after the conference in September, and yeah, depending on how things are, we might do that this year, but we'll decide that on a short notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, fairly quiet month, but at least from my perspective, there's a lot of stuff that's coming. I'm seeing a lot of things in the works. The conferences that I was at in the past couple of months, there's a lot of excitement in this field right now, and a lot of people coming up to me who I never knew were using GNU Radio talking to me about it. So there's the user community is definitely expanding pretty rapidly. So part of our task is to help increase the developer community at the same time and same pace, so that we can start plugging a number of the holes that we all know exist, and to get a better user experience out there. Yeah, so just one last call for any other comments, questions, thoughts.
So Tom, if you have some infos regarding releases, that would be a good time to mention.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah. So we tend to have kind of a release schedule discussion on these talks. We did fairly recently release the patch release 3771, and we tend to have a 3 to 4 month period between our releases. My guess right now, there's nothing pushing us at this point. My guess right now is that we should see a 378 release probably just before GRCon. So we can go. I tend to like to go into the conferences with a brand new release under our belts, so we can so everybody has all the brand new cool stuff that's been hacked on in the development branches into a release. So expect that one sometime in August. But Jonathan Corrigan and I will verify that when things come up.
Okay, so as I said, see everyone next month, and in the meantime, in IRC, etc., etc. Okay, goodbye.
All right, thanks, guys.